Well, welcome to Coffee and Revelation, again from a very wet Sydney. And we are into Revelation chapter 4. And I'm going to split this into two parts today and tomorrow, but it kind of is one whole. And what it is just something that's thrilling for us. And I'll explain why as we go on. After this, Revelation 4 verse 1, I looked and there before me was a door standing open in heaven. And the voice I had first heard speaking to me like a trumpet said, "Come up here and I will show you what must take place after this." At once I was in the Spirit, and there before me was a throne in heaven with someone sitting on it. And the one who sat there had the appearance of jasper and ruby. A rainbow that shone like an emerald encircled the throne. Surrounding the throne were 24 other thrones, and seated on them were 24 elders. They were dressed in white and had crowns of gold on their heads. From the throne came flashes of lightning, rumbles and peals of thunder. In front of the throne 7 lamps were blazing. These are the 7 spirits of God, or the sevenfold Spirit of God. Also in front of the throne there was what looked like a sea of glass, clear as crystal. Okay, let's leave it there. This is a door being opened. You'll notice how earlier we talked about an open door and Jesus knocking on a closed door, and now this is the door to heaven opened. And this is so important because to the Christians to whom John was writing, the Emperor Domitian was on the throne, which is really quite extraordinary, because on his throne he had Lord and God. He was to be addressed as Lord and God, and the Christians wouldn't do that. I guess the Christians could easily have been scared of him, but instead, John gives them a vision of someone saying, "Hey, come up here. Come and I will show you what's going to take place." So, there's so much in this for us. And one way I want to think about it is this. Are you a bit fed up with the rainbow? Sorry, I love these flowers, by the way. I was kind of hoping with this rain we'd get a bit of sun and a rainbow would come up and I could show you it all. But what I mean by the rainbow, fed with the rainbow flag, I don't know if you've seen the pictures in England, I think in London, Pride Month. Do you know this? I'll quite happily wear a rainbow, because a rainbow is a symbol of God's mercy and God's grace and God's judgment. It's not a symbol of human sexual perversity. So anyway, let's come back to see what is going on here. Now, this is the throne of God in heaven. The Christian church was being battered, being blamed by the Roman emperor for every ill of the empire. It was being divided by heresy within. The last apostle was on the island of Patmos. What was Christ doing? Why is this happening? Doesn't God know? Doesn't God care? What about all the promises of the new kingdom and the gates of hell not prevailing against the church? Why not give up? Why not despair? Do you know, imagine if amid all the speculation, pontification and crystal ball gazing about what we think is going to happen or what even is happening, the Lord came to us and said, come here. You don't need the BBC or Fox News or the ABC, Sky News or whatever it is. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I think where a lot of people go wrong with Revelation is that they regard it like one of those YouTube videos of world history where the Lord shows us in a few minutes what is happening over hundreds of years. I think what's happening here, John is showing us eternity and how history and our story fits into his story. The multicolored throne surrounded by the emerald rainbow is the first image that John is thrown. And John is very interested in thrones. They're mentioned 47 times in his book. Well, why? The meaning is very simple. John is telling, or God is through John telling his people, there's a throne that's over all the thrones. There's a king that's over all the kings. There's a king in heaven who has absolute authority over the whole universe. He does have the whole world in his whole hands. And that's why the rainbow is so important. And I'm not giving up that symbol. After the flood, it became the symbol of God's covenant, a covenant that will never be broken. The 24 elders, the lightning and the thunder, what's that? Well, some people think it's the 12 patriarchs, the 12 tribes, plus the 12 apostles. But really, the elders, the lightning, the thunder, the Holy Spirit, the sea of glass, they're all meant to teach us about the glory and grandeur of Christ. Remember, this is a picture of what God is, not a literal description of heaven. That's what you get, is looked like a throne of glass. In modern times, when we think of glass, we think of it as clear, the window's just here, right now. But in the first century, it was normally dark, and clear glass was incredibly expensive. This is just another way, therefore, of setting up the beauty and glory of God, to which all the wealth of this world is like a small piece of glitter in a sea of diamonds. Well, I think tomorrow we will come on to look at what it means to say that God is on the throne, and maybe we'll look at the 4 living creatures and the other things as well. But I don't know, let me finish with this. You're not at the center of the universe. Do you know what the rainbow flag in our culture means? The rainbow flag in our culture puts man at the center. The rainbow flag in our culture says my identity and what I feel is the absolute be-all and everything. The rainbow flag says I am the center of the universe. John comes along, or this vision tells us that we are not the center of the universe, that God is the center of the universe, and he invites us to see him and to be with him. We don't take him into our world so that he can help us in our self-centered, absorbed world. He's on the throne. And I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry, I'm delighted. And tomorrow we'll see what that means. So God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your day just knowing that you've been invited into the throne room.